Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Into the Woods podcast. I'm Rachael McGowan, your host and guide on this self-development journey. Today, we have a very special episode from a new series I am starting called The Wayfinders. The Wayfinders is a special interview series within the Into the Woods podcast, featuring the practitioners, healers, mystics, guides, and teachers who have illuminated my own path of healing, remembrance, and transformation. In these intimate conversations, we explore the journeys that led them to their work, the wisdom they've gathered along the way, and the practices that help us navigate life's most challenging and meaningful passages. Together, we'll venture beyond conventional ideas of healing to explore intuition, embodiment, spiritual awakening, personal growth, and our own connection to the natural world. From breathwork facilitators and hypnotherapists to psychics, mediums, and even the wisdom found in nature, the Wayfinders honors the many forms guidance can take. These conversations are an invitation to slow down, listen deeply, and discover the teachers who help us remember who we truly are. If you've ever felt lost in the woods of your own life, may these stories offer companionship, insight, and a light for the path ahead. Okay, let's get into today's episode. Hi, Erica. How are you?
Hi, Rachel. I'm so good. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm really excited to be your very first guest. So I'm honored that you chose me to be here with you today.
Yes. So we're doing something a little bit new on the End of the Woods podcast. I'm starting this new segment of sorts called the Wayfinders. And for me, Wayfinders encompasses those individuals who have really helped me on my spiritual healing journey in the last year or two. So you are a breathwork master, and I've taken so many classes with you because I just can't get enough. That has really helped me tap into my higher self. We're in a psychic mediumship level breathwork class with you right now. But I really wanted to create the Wayfinder segment because I'm so grateful for all these women that have helped me so much along the way. And I have this platform and I want to share your gifts and what you do because I'm so grateful I found you in the ways that I did and the impact you've had that I want to share your story, what you do, what you offer, so that more individuals can come running to you to get your services.
Oh, I appreciate that, Rachel. I'm really honored to hear that from you. And for those of you who already know Rachel, you know that she is such a force. And when she wants to move mountains and make things happen, she certainly does that. So it's such an honor to be in your energy here and just sharing our stories together. And if it can help somebody find their way or find their next step. That's always how it happened to me when I was ready for the next thing. Even if I didn't know what that next thing was, it somehow dropped into my path. Whether I was listening to a podcast or reading a book or in a conversation with somebody, the light bulb moment went on and I just knew that was the next thing. So I never had to reach for it or search for it. And hopefully this will be one of those light bulb moments for those that need it. And they're so lucky to have you as a guide here too.
So tell us a little bit about your business, Anooway, when you started it, how you started. I know you said you're very intuitive. It dropped in for you. So a little bit about the business and how you started.
Yeah. So if we want to take a little trip down my memory lane, I had no intention. It was never my path to start breath work. I was actually a medically trained provider and I practiced in conventional medicine for about 15 years. And it wasn't until that I went through my own life hardships that I found breath work. I was navigating divorce with young children, never expecting to go through divorce. I was lost in a way that I didn't really know where I was going. And it was a light bulb moment for me that led me down the path of something more is going on here. There's something more to this life. There's something more to this planet. There's something that I can feel beneath the surface shifting in myself. And I think a lot of us feel this pull when we get to a certain stage in life. It just opens up in a way where we know there's something underneath the surface, whether we're going through a transformation, we're going through a life change. We know we want something different. And it was that feel that pull of something more. So I was navigating a really difficult circumstance in my life, had a busy career, had 2 young kids, and it just dropped in. That synchronicity started to happen. Things started to happen in my life that I was able to see and know And I started reaching for all of the things, all of the modalities, and all of the mentors. And it really led me on this self exploration of how do I fine tune my seeing, my knowing, my hearing. And breathwork was one of the modalities that dropped in from many different aspects. And I started to pull all of those aspects together and curate an experience that allowed somebody in the midst of transition to reach deep inside of themselves to access that deeper part and to feel what they feel becoming and moving underneath the surface. Does that make sense? I took that on a lot of different paths.
No, yes. I think what surprised me the most about the work that you provide and do is I just thought psychics were psychics, mediums were mediums. Like they just had this special gift. And I didn't realize that we all have this ability to tap in. And so that's what's been so immensely powerful is that I've been able to access that through the way that you've created the container and the space in order for a average person to be able to do this.
And that's the really fascinating thing. We all do this. We know that if we walk into a room, if we feel good or if we don't feel good, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. When we come to this earth, so often that we are taught to throw ourselves into systems and certain ways of being, and we're dissociated from that inner part of us that actually knows truth. And you think about the times in your life when you've navigated a hardship and how many times you reach sideways and you ask 10 different friends what you should do. And we don't realize how powerful our own intuition is because we're never taught to connect with it in a way that feels safe and secure and we can trust what that guidance is. But as soon as we start to get beneath the layers, and that's what breathwork does, that's what my practice does, getting beneath the layers, once we tune into our own inner knowing, and once we start trusting that, right? We do a lot of feedback, we do a lot of partner work, we do a lot of experiencing. When you learn to trust what is truth in your body, now you can navigate anything that comes to you in life. There's no questioning, there's no outsourcing. If you're someone who's using ChatGPT to tell me the answer to this, right? We're going in the wrong direction because all of those answers exist within ourselves. We can feel them, we can know them, we can intuit whether something's good or bad, and we can even ask for signs to navigate life in a way that is completely magical. And coming from a science background, I had to navigate a lot of doubt in terms of, is this real? Right? It wasn't something that I could feel. It wasn't something that I could do an experiment on or do research on or see in the real world. But the fruits of that trusting and that knowing really made my life more magical and allowed me to really move through the world in a way that feels so easy and seamless and joyful. And that's what I want for all women. We are so powerful. The way that our energy connects to other energies in this world, it is a gift that we have. And the more that we can connect deeply to it, the more powerful we become, the more magical this life becomes, the more it opens up to us, and the bigger that we can live and the more expressive we can be. We can actually take up the space that we're meant to take up. We can experience the fullness of life and really get back to that beautiful, authentic part of ourselves. And not just for us, it makes life better for all of those around us if we can lead and navigate in that way. But it comes back to trusting the intangible inside of you and the ability to connect to that.
In all of your classes, I'm always, the practical girly in the background that's like, okay, but like, where are we going with this? The type A former lawyer of me is always coming out because I'm like there. And
Uh-huh.
that is what has been similar to your experience, when you've got this like analytical, scientific, mathematical, legal, whatever it is, corporate type mind, and you're so curious and interested about this other thing that it is really so much about trust and really like knowing yourself and trusting yourself and leaning into that and what will come out of it, because we're so used to dealing in the tangible, like you said, that it's the intangible, so much of the tangible. The way that we've been raised has been such masculine energy. And to your point, the divine feminine is on the rise. Like we finally realize that we have to do it our own way. And the way that women operate is emotions, feeling. We are feeling, caring beings. And when we can figure out how we can bring that out and really use our intuition that comes so naturally to us, like you said. I mean, like, who rules the world? Girls, you know?
Or we need to a little bit more. And here's a practice that can get you into that, because the hurdle that I see for most type A women in my classes is that they want to control it. They want to understand it instead of get into their bodies and feel it. And that doesn't mean that it's inaccessible to them. It just means that we need a little bit more practice at surrendering. So, what we mistake as safety is actually control. When we try to over engineer our outcomes, we're trying to engineer for safety. Now, when we think that safety relies in our hands and the way that we control things, we don't give ourselves over to the magic of what's actually happening underneath the surface. Everything is being arranged, everything is being structured in a way that's always moving us towards our highest potential, regardless of discomfort, regardless of ease. We are always moving in a way that is best for our highest good on this earth, right? On this earth school.
Mhm,
And there's a
mhm.
couple different schools of thought there. But if we can put down whatever the planning is, right? Whenever you sense yourself sort of moving forward in a grippy type energy, almost a hurried or treading water type energy, notice yourselves in that type of energy and simply take a deep breath and almost fall back, physically fall back, get back into the body and release the need to control anything and just surrender to, I'm going to see how this works out. I wonder why I'm trying to control it at this time. What am I trying to engineer for? What part of this doesn't feel safe to me? And how can I just be playful and curious? I think the energy of playfulness and joy can help us so much in these times because, that energy was big when we were children. We could
Right.
lean into curiosity, we could lean into play, and things were easeful. If we can lean into that same energy as adults and just say, I don't know what's going to happen, but let's let this unfold. I don't know what's
Right.
going to happen with this vacation if I don't bring the extra car. Let's just see. I mean, maybe we'll find someplace fun
Right.
to go stop. But I think the more that we can lean into, I think this is going to be really fun if I don't try to control it, it lets our frontal lobe, the planning, the executive functioning lobe, kind of take a step back and just let things play out. The more that we do that, the more things happen in our favor and we know the right next step. So I would encourage for my women who have a hard time getting out of that type A mindset, right? I need to make a list. I need to know what this is going to feel like. I need to know where this is going to go. And we're going to engineer for the outcome, leaning into play and physically getting inside the body to say, how can I release? How can I let this go? How can I simply get into the energy of flow? And not only that, gets us out of our masculine, like you said, and back into our feminine, which is receptive and so much more powerful than trying to create life, right? We always say, well, give me a miracle. I just want abundance. I want freedom. I want these miracles in my life. And yet you're trying to tell the universe exactly how to send you the miracle. Well, it's
Mhm.
never going to be a miracle if you're trying to engineer how it comes to you in your life. So the only way
Right.
that you can prepare to accept those are to let it go and let it
Right.
come in the way that it's meant to come. And it will be even better than you could have wrapped your little brain around. If you try to
Right.
put you want inside a box, then you're limiting the expansiveness of what could actually come to you.
No, go
Like when
ahead,
you
Kara.
have a baby, it's a baby's in your tummy, and right, it's 9 months, and you have no control, and the fingernails grow, and the heart beats, and it just happens. All you're doing is taking care of yourself. All you're doing is walking life, but you realize that, like, and then the baby comes out, and then we go, okay, God, we'll take it from here because we know better now, right? So it's one of those things where it's like some of the easiest things we do come from when we're not scared and we just allow, when we let go, when we're attached to that outcome and we control, it becomes harder. Even conversations with people.
Well, and think about that, Carrot. We don't have control over that. The baby's coming, and we
Right.
somehow think that, getting the right colored blankets and the crib put together, like that's the control that we try to have over
Yeah.
the outcome when in reality, we don't. And I love that example as a threshold moment. The moment that we release control, right? You think about a woman in labor and she's going through labor and she gets to a point where inevitably, maybe not inevitably, but there's this release of control. She may even say, I can't do this anymore. I can't, it's too much. I can't. Well, she's right. As that woman who tries to control everything, she can't do it. And it's not until she surrenders and acquiesces that she transforms herself into the next version of her, the next level, the version of her
Mhm.
that can control it. And she becomes the woman who can when she releases in that threshold moment. And I think so often, we can go through these micro threshold moments of, okay, I can't, I'm going to release it. And then you give the universe the opportunity to show you your next level. And that can be really powerful. But I love that analogy of the woman giving birth. That's beautiful.
Yeah, the surrender part, and I, joke about this in my course on manifesting of that step where literally the step of the formula is trust and surrender, that you've indicated to the universe, like, this is what I'm seeking. I would love guidance on this. Please send it my way. And every single time I have let go, exactly what I've wanted has come my way at exactly the right time. And like you said, when I first started doing this work, because I'm such a control freak, I'm like, how though? How is this amazing stuff just going to drop in? And every time it does. And so I am like total living proof of when you surrender to what the universe has in store for you. I always say it's this or something better, and it's always been something better every single time.
Yeah, I love that. And when you're not attaching another mechanism of control is time, right? When you're not attaching a time mechanism to it and sitting in the discomfort of allowing time to move in the way it's meant to move is another way that we can surrender. But so often we try to control for time and discomfort that we don't get the big miracle, we don't get the big thing. So when we can see time as releasing our need to control time and sitting in the discomfort of the extendedness of that, then we increase our capacity to hold more that can come our way, right? If we're so focused on needing and timelines, then we also don't have the capacity to expand into what could potentially drop in.
And I think a lot of people, when they think about surrender, sometimes they get to the point where they finally can, where they've had enough. Okay, you're giving birth and you can't do it anymore. And then you have to surrender to whatever your body does and whatever happens. But how can we get to the point where we can learn to surrender before we get to our breaking point? I think that's what we're all looking for, right? And it might look different for everyone.
Yeah. And I think you're right, Kara. Those are those micro moments of surrender where we say, I'm going to sit in this discomfort. It might not be the dark night of the soul where you're on your knees and you're crying and things are just not moving and you are in desperation mode. It might not be that, but when we have these micro moments of, I can sit in this discomfort, that is a surrender. I'm not trying to control or move the discomfort forward on my timeline. I'm open to seeing how good this can get. I'm expecting miracles to drop into my life. I'm open. Show me the signs. Show me my next path. Drop in what I meant to do next. Because it might not be that we aren't the person that can accept that miracle until we grow in a way, right? And sometimes that growing is how much discomfort can we sit with? Because the version of me that needs to hold that bigger thing has to be able to tolerate discomfort. And so the universe is sending those lessons to say, well, let's see. Let's see if you can hold that. Let's see if you can surrender. Let's see if you have the capacity to just sit back and hold all of it. Then you're ready to hold the bigger thing. Then you're more stable. Then the nervous system is more grounded. And I think a lot of what we do in breath work as well is grounding that nervous system. How can we center ourselves inside of ourselves to know that no matter what comes our way, I got it. It doesn't matter. You can try to knock me off. I'm good. My soul is innately whole and worthy and full of love. And in this human incarnation, my human is going to go through discomfort. It's sort of that, let's emotionally vaccinate ourselves against what's coming. I know it's not going to be all beautiful and roses. I came to Earth to experience discomfort. And I think our souls forget that. We specifically chose to come to a planet where humans kill their own kind, right? Probably one of the most dangerous places that we could incarnate in the different systems. We come here so that we can attain so much growth. Yet when something uncomfortable happens to us, we say, wait, that's not comfortable. I don't want any of this. How can I control that and move it and change it so that it's comfortable? And if we can go back and just realize why we came here, it's the discomfort that's going to get us to exactly where we need to be to make life beautiful. And changing the lens on that, I think, is important as well.
Well, and a miracle is just a change in perception, right? Just changing the way you see it, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I always say when things have come into my life to just not worry about the how, because like you said, when we try to put so much emphasis on how we think it needs to go in order for us like you said, either become the person that is able to accept this new life or this new thing or whatever it is, it's really just when you can understand that you actually don't know exactly how it's going to play out and just trust that you've given enough signals and it's all playing out in the background and you'll be told and given exactly what you need to do. Otherwise you will miss opportunities. I think about that all the time of like if you've got your blinders on and you are just following this one way, you're missing out on, like you said, the expansiveness of what there is available to you because you think that there's this one fixed way to go about it when in fact there's infinite possibilities.
That's
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. So, Rachel, what do you think are some of the signs that people feel when they are about to get to that next level?
Now, when you were talking about the discomfort, I was thinking like, when it comes to self development, if you were always comfortable, why would you change? That's the hardest part of leveling up and self-development is at some point things don't align anymore. They don't fit with the person that you're naturally becoming. And so we have to feel this sense of discomfort so that we can move on. I mean, for me, fear is huge, right? It's debilitating. We are like freaking out. But so often though, we are so fixated on the tangible issues at play than how we feel. Like, this is going to be so amazing. My soul is going to be so happy. My cup is going to be so full. I get to do all these amazing things. But we just fixate on these things that are all energy, right? Like money. It's just changing your mindset of, okay, what are you so worried about? And that's not and it's not your energy to hold, or this is just energy. And that's what's so powerful about this work and why it is a journey, because we rely so much on what other people think about us and how other people are going to accept us and our accreditations and all of these things, and so little about just truly believing in ourselves and what we are capable of as a soul that is living this experience. And once you do that work, it's like get out of my way. I'm dangerous.
Yeah, 100%. And that's one of the reasons why I love breathwork. I think it's a unique modality. And the way that I facilitate is using an eye mask, using a headset. It's a completely immersive experience where you're going inside of yourself. You're going inside the body, but you're really meeting that soul part of you the more and more you can surrender. And it's a gradual experience of surrendering. Everyone remembers the first time that they come to one of my classes and they compare that to the second time and the third time. And every single time, you release a little bit more, you meet a deeper part of yourself. You release a little bit more, you get a little bit more authentic. You release a little bit more, and then things start to open up. So it's a really beautiful practice to be able to get inside of yourself and to, like you said, let go of those distractions in the physical world and really get into
Mhm.
the energetic component of that, because it's from that place that we manifest, that we create, that we move through the world in a way that's more authentic and powerful. And it may be the first time that we start to sense how much power we do have. And what happens on the other side of that is that some people will come back and say, well, now I'm a little bit afraid because what's going to happen now? And there's never anything to be afraid of. We are completely whole and worthy, and we are a spark of the divine, regardless of what religion you believe in. Apply it to that teaching. But the soul part of us is part of that larger consciousness that is really powerful in a way that can change ourselves, change reality, change whatever we're dealing with, change the trauma that we've been experiencing, change the patterns that we've been looping in, change the outcomes that we want to change the way that we feel about ourselves, our environment, and to move through those different times of transformation.
I love the way that you do breath work, because one of the things I was afraid of in starting this was I can't meditate. I've got 2 toddlers, mom brain is real, and my head is always moving a million. And that's been my whole life. But even now when you've got kids, you're like, I cannot turn this off. And at 3 a.m., it loves to wake me up. And I thank God I have Siri on because I'm like, hey, girl, remind me to do this tomorrow at 9 a.m. I love experiencing breath work with you because I've always been a music person. And to be able to just spend an hour and a half, 2 hours blocking out the world and being able to just get dark and put on these headphones and just hear your soothing angelic voice talking to me in a meditative way and listening to this music that makes you want to dance, but also just like very tribe where you just like feel so in your body. And sometimes you pick songs that are really empowering. You're like, yes, I'm a goddess. Yes, I'm powerful. Yes, I can do whatever I want. And you're just like, God, this is such a vibe. And the more I've done it, like you said, I think about the first time of being like, I can't meditate. And I'm asking you all these type A questions. And you're like, shh, just surrender, Rachel. And now I can do it without music, which is such a gift. And that's what I'm probably the most grateful for is just the ability now to be able to calm my mind and be one with myself.
Yes. And that will provide dividends, not just in your relationship with and and working with energy and intuition and the trust in yourself, but it also pays dividends in your emotional and your physical health and the way that it regulates the nervous system, how it balances the parasympathetic with the sympathetic nervous system, right? Allowing you access to that healing part of your nervous system, the way that it helps to support the vagus nerve, the way that it helps to rebalance at a root cause level all of these different neurotransmitters and hormones and things that are going on inside the body, not to mention your immune system, your tolerance for carbon dioxide, your creation of nitric oxide, all of these things. There's so many different layers that are going on. And I will tell you, after working with thousands and thousands of clients over the years, clients and patients, that the people who truly do not get well never learn to regulate their nervous system, never learn to get into that healing side of their nervous system. And like you said, so many people come and they say, I just can't meditate. I know I need to. I know it's so good for me.
Mhm.
I think I'm kind of good at it. Like I sit there for a while and I like listen to the app. But until you truly feel what it feels like to let that nervous system settle and release, it's almost like a marble just dropping into a track and it just moves in a way that is calming and soothing. Until you feel that, you don't know what that space is or how to get into it. So when you have access to that space and you know how to do it, now you can pay dividends to yourself in terms of your mental health, your physical health, and then your energetic health. And you can travel to different places and experience different energies. And yeah, it's sort of the magic key that unlocks so many different levels. So I'm
I
glad
Mhm.
to
think we're
get into meditation now.
Yeah, well, even with meditation, it's like if your body doesn't provide a safe place for it to land, right? You can visualize all day, but if it doesn't have somewhere to land and be safe, then it just doesn't kind of come into fruition. So I think that that is the secret sauce that most people are missing.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And you can tell yourself all of the mantras that you want and the
Mhm.
affirmations, but if it doesn't feel like that in your body and to your nervous system, then it won't land. So, regardless of the avenue that you take to get to breath work, maybe it is just nervous system regulation. Maybe your therapist recommended that breath work would be a great bottom
Mhm.
up somatic practice for you, right? Therapy is typically top down, and you're understanding frameworks and talking through what's going on and understanding patterns. But the breath work itself is more of a bottom up somatic practice. So whether
Mhm.
you're coming in that way, maybe you're just looking for more peace in your life, maybe something's going on and you just can't put your finger on it. Or maybe you're actually moving through divorce like I was,
Yeah.
or a job change or a significant life transition. Breath work can meet you wherever you're at. And every single time, it just gives you exactly what you need. And not because I'm giving it to you, but because you're meeting yourself in a way that you allow yourself to feel safe. You are reminding yourself that you're safe to be with yourself. And it's really the power of the individual person. I simply hold the container and the framework, but really, the participant is the one doing the work and creating that magic for themselves. And I think that's a really beautiful part of the practice too. I don't think that we should ever rely on a healer, right, to heal me. It's someone who creates the environment for you to heal yourself and to do that work. It's your surrender that actually does the work. And that's another part of breath work that really speaks to me.
I have definitely noticed as I've gone through it how much stronger and capable I feel as I have had some major things happen in my life since we've been working together like 6 months from now of God, before this, like even just holding energy, I've always felt like I'm an empath and that I just cannot let things go. And I let my mind spiral and hold on to things and to have the tools in place to be able to just release it. It's not mine. And to just stand in my own power and trust myself and not rely on other people's opinions and thoughts and whatever. That's theirs. That's their energy to have, to hold, to feel, whatever. And it's not mine. I mean, that has been incredible. And I have not been sick, Erica. I've not been sick since we have started working together. For all the skeptics out there that are like, I need to do this. It's like, no, you need breath work. And as Erica laid out of all the different systems at play and how this can truly help you from every, like you said, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, all of those things, I've noticed it. I am a testament to the result.
I love that you're feeling well and strong and energetic, and you can sense that in your voice, and just the way that you show up and your presence is just really beautiful energetically. And I want to spell out too, I know we're talking about so many different facets of what happens in this work, but there really is a trajectory to it. So coming into breath work first to meet yourself and to understand yourself, to know where you're at, to feel that resistance, to lean into that. That's sort of step one, starting with the breath, starting on the mat. And then when that starts to open up, now we move into more learning about our own intuition, our own inner knowing, strengthening that aspect of ourselves. And that work progresses in that way. And then after you get a sense of what your energy feels like and how you can tap into that and what a yes is and what a no is and what's true and what you're meant to do and where you move forward, and how you ask for signs, now that work can grow, right? You can go even deeper into experiencing other energies, other realms, other ways to use your intuition, other ways to read the energy of others. And then once you can embody that energy, once you can feel that energy exchange from other people, once you have the capacity to hold space, then even becoming trained as a facilitator to do this for others. And that's sort of the momentum, the trajectory. And within that, there's mentorship and coaching and different things that go into it. But the breath work in and of itself as a foundational practice is really supportive, opening up to whatever it is you want to experience next, whether it's numerology or whether it's more psychic mediumship, whatever those practices are. And maybe it's just a felt sense of self and safety that helps you move through the world, like you said, not getting knocked off. If somebody
Yeah.
somebody cuts you off in traffic or somebody yells at you at the store, I mean,
Yeah.
not taking that on, just, it's not me. It's
Right.
not my energy.
I always think you don't know what the person's going through. They could
Yeah.
be a bad person. They also just could be having a horrible day. They got the worst news of their life. It's all coming out. So I've always believed give people the benefit of the doubt. People are good until they show you otherwise. But even more with this work where I've tried not to internalize and assume what people are thinking and feeling, it's been obviously very releasing for me, but also to be able to move and not feel so like, oh my God, I can't get this out of my head.
Yeah, to set it down and to let it go, because I truly believe how many people who we label as quote unquote bad, right? The soul is never bad. The soul comes from a place of purity. And what our human selves do here, we like to label as good or bad. Now,
Mm.
you can argue whether or not it's even necessary to label anything as good or bad, but we have different degrees of dissociation from our own selves. Because once you feel that part of you, once you feel that soul part of you that's love and joy and peace, you're not disconnected from it anymore. So you're either operating from a point that's so dissociated from your true nature, or you're someone moving around in the world that is trying to control for safety so hard. And then when that runs into other people, right, that's where we get friction. And so I typically see those interactions as that person trying really hard to create safety for themselves. And it has nothing to do with me. That safety has to be sourced from within ourselves first, and they are just dissociated from that.
So, related to that, you've seen thousands of clients. And worked with a lot of people in this space. People obviously have different reasons for why they found you, why they came to you, but I'm curious, what do you think people are really looking for right now as a collective? And obviously, you're using breath work for people to be able to find themselves, but do you notice even a little bit of a theme of the people that find you and come to you of what exactly they're looking for that you're providing them?
Yeah, I think it's their own search for meaning. It's meaning is defined differently in different stages of our life. When I was in my 20s, meaning meant getting my degrees, getting my education. When I was in my 30s, it meant family. And I think we all get to this point, whether you're male or female, and you say, well, what does this all mean? What's the point of it? Whether I'm feeling bad or good, or I go through this transition, I go to this job every day. What is the meaning of all of this? How do I get deeper? I feel something deeper. This can't be all there is, Republican, Democrat, war, unrest. What is why are we here? And I think when we start to pull on those threads, we start to search for different books or podcasts or experiences that start to let us in on what's behind the curtain, what's behind the veil because we feel it. There's got to be something more. And once we start to investigate, things start to come down. We start to see what that more is. We start to feel what that more is. What does it mean to die? What is life after death? Starting to wrestle with some of these questions. What does it mean that I thought I would be married to this person for my whole life and have this beautiful family, and now I don't want that at all? What does that mean?
Mhm.
And so when we start to go on a search for who we are, where we came from, and why we're here, I think that's the intersection of where people find breath work, whether they don't maybe consciously know that they're searching for meaning, they just know they're going through a really difficult time and they want it to feel better. They're maybe not sure of what to do next, or they actively know things are happening. And I think that there's something more here to this life. How do I explore that?
Mhm.
And those are typically the clients that find me in breath work because it's meeting a need that they know they have. And so many people will come and they say, I don't know why I'm here. I just know I'm supposed to be here.
Mhm.
And it's just one of those things that drops in on their journey on this planet and it gets them to that next phase, that next level, that next knowing. And so it's such an honor to be with people in that part of their journey, in that part of their life. There are so many people that I've run into that have been that for me.
Yeah.
And the more that we can, sort of peel back the layers for each other and let people see what a show, what a play, what a matrix we live in and how we can move through it, how we can remember who we truly are and how to get back to that. I think that's where people really find me.
I think one of the things that you said, not exactly knowing why you're here, I was just really curious and I just loved the way that you did this. And I've never heard of this before. And I'm curious, like, let's try this out. You said you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're meant to be here. And the people that are in this room chose this at the exact same time I think you call it like we have codes we need to share with each other. And every time it's like, I think the first class I went to, the girl next to me, we had the exact same journal. Same journal. We're sitting next to each other. I'm like, how many journals are there? And the girl next to me has the same one. I mean, it was just that kind of synchronicity that you're like, oh my God, this is just such an amazing gift.
You're right. Of all of the people who could be sitting next to you with the journal in that
I
space,
know.
at the time, having signed up for this same class in the same
I
cohort,
know. I know.
and how beautiful that you recognize that as a synchronicity and not just a coincidence, right? Because I don't believe in coincidences. I think that there is such an orchestration of beautiful energy that
Oh, yeah.
happens beneath the surface that when you start to lean into that, that allows you to be guided even further, right? That was a nod. The universe was giving a nod to you to say, yep, you're in the right spot.
Yeah.
This is,
And
here.
yeah, and I love too that part of your work is to really teach us that we can do this ourselves and that you encourage people and create spaces where so many of your students do this work now. And that now you have all of these breathwork facilitators that are doing it their own way, are able to provide this at a greater scale because, you've got 2 kids. You can't provide all the breath work for everybody. It is amazing to what you said. Like, you should never rely on someone to provide you with all the healing that you need. You get tuned up and realigned and different things along the way. But that's what I just love about it. The way that you do it is like, hey, you're able to do this, and I'm here for as much as you want or as little as you want, but you can do this and you can tap in, and this is for everybody, and just come and see what this is like and go as far as you want with this. I just think that that is what makes this so special is you can walk away with something that you can carry with you for the rest of your life and that you can do by yourself and that you can continually get better and better at as time goes on.
That you said that. I appreciate that. And how egoic would it be of anyone to say, I'm the one
Right.
who needs to teach? I mean, what a gift that everyone has, that it is their unique flavor, that their unique voice, and whatever they learn flows through them to impact then in a ripple manner everyone else around them. So yeah, and I would highly encourage, when you're on this journey and you're looking for whatever you're interested in learning about, find someone who wants to impart it to you so that you are your own guru, not that they hold any sort of power over you. It's really important, especially in this industry of spirituality and energy. There is no one that is more of a guru about you than you. Your power exists within you, and that's the most power is only yours. You simply get those codes and those tools from everyone else that you interact with. So I appreciate you saying that. That was really beautiful the way that you said that.
Thank you. Well, you've changed my life. So I have nothing but good things to say about you and the work that you do and how you've impacted my life. I mean, wow, it's just been amazing. So one of the things that I want to do that's going to kind of be a theme with the Wayfinders is I want to have you complete a sentence so that I can put all these together at some point on my free time and see all the beautiful messages that come through. So if you can complete this sentence, I know I'm finding my way when.
I know I'm finding my way when I release my grip and I allow myself to fall backwards off that cliff, knowing that I am held and supported. I inevitably know that the way will find me, that I do not need to be the one that finds the way.
Mic drop.
That's a good one. The way finds you.
Oh my God, amazing. Well, Erica, I love you so much. I
Thanks for having
appreciate
me. Well, I love you
everything you've
too.
done
Thanks
for
for having me.
me. I'll see you in like 2 weeks for the next session of what we're doing. But I'm so grateful that you came on here. I'm so grateful that we're sharing this lifetime together and we get to experience all these major things going on in our lives. I mean, what a blessing to have you and all that I'm going through right now of postpartum and new career and all of the things. It's just been amazing. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on here.
It's all a beautiful journey. All right. Take care. Have a great day.
You too. See ya.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
As we come to the end of this episode of The Wayfinders, I hope something in this conversation has sparked curiosity, offered comfort, or gently nudged you along your own path. If you feel called to explore this healer's work more deeply, you can find all of their details, offerings, and ways to connect in the show notes. Whether you're seeking guidance, support, or simply a deeper understanding of yourself, trust that the right people and practices will meet you when you're ready. Thank you for walking this path with us. Until next time, keep listening, keep exploring, and keep finding your way home. I'll see you next time in the woods.